The void of space stretched endlessly, a canvas of darkness speckled with stars that glimmered like shards of a shattered mirror. The spaceship's spark glided through the abyss, its hull scarred from meteor showers yet defiant in its persistence. The crew had long lost track of the days spent adrift in this boundless journey. Captain Irina Vetrova stood at the observation deck, her steel-gray eyes scanning the star chart projected before her. Somewhere in the Swan Nebula lay their final chance for survival. Irina was more than a captain, she was a myth among stars. Tales circulated that she could navigate an asteroid field blindfolded, her intuition carving paths where star maps fell silent. But even her ironclad resolve was fraying. Oxygen reserves dwindled, and the Spark's engines sputtered on their last reserves of power. The 6 remaining crew members, the remnants of a once larger team, looked to her with a mix of hope and creeping dread. Captain Kirill, the engineer, broke through her thoughts. His disheveled hair and oil-stained face betrayed his exhaustion. The generator's failing. If we don't find an energy source within 48 hours, we won't make it to the next system. Irina nodded, her gaze fixed on the distant stars. She knew Kirill was right. Their only hope was the ancient station ark, a derelict outpost shrouded in rumors. Whispers spoke of a technology capable of powering entire fleets, but no one had returned to confirm its existence. Legends hinted that the ark was guarded by something, or someone. No time to waste. Then, she said, turning to the crew, Leela, plot a course to the station's coordinates. Push the engines as hard as they'll go. Leila, the sharp-witted navigator with an even sharper tongue, glanced at the control panel. Her fingers danced across the touchscreen, calculating the trajectory. If this station's a mirage. Irina, we're burning our last fuel for nothing, she muttered, but entered the coordinates regardless. If it's a mirage, we'll die trying. Irina shot back, her voice steady but her heart gripped by fear. Hours later, the Spark plunged into the Swan Nebula. Clouds of gas, shimmering in hues of blue and violet, enveloped the ship, muffling radar signals. The crew sat in tense silence. Suddenly, the screen flickered, revealing a colossal structure, the ark. It resembled a giant metallic flower, its solar panel petals dulled by time. Yet something about its silhouette stirred unease. It felt alive. It's no mirage, Leela whispered, her voice trembling. Then prepare for docking, Irina ordered. Kirill, check the systems. Sonia, you're with us on the mission. Sonia, the team's medic, a woman with gentle features but a will of iron, nodded. She was already packing her medical kit, though her eyes betrayed doubt. The remaining crew technician, Gregorian communications specialist Misha, stayed on the bridge, ready to maintain contact. Docking proceeded with eerie smoothness. The ark's airlock opened as if inviting them inside. Irina, Kirill, and Sonia, clad in spacesuits, stepped into a dark corridor. The air was stale but breathable. Their helmet lights illuminated strange patterns on the walls, perhaps writings, perhaps traces of alien technology. This place gives me the creeps, Kirill muttered, clutching a scanner. There's energy, but the source, it's deep inside. They pressed forward, following the faint signal. The station's corridors formed a labyrinth, each turn indistinguishable from the last. Irina caught glimpses of movement in the shadows but dismissed them as fatigue. Then Sonia froze. Did you hear that? She whispered like footsteps. Irina strained her ears. The silence was deafening, but a faint metallic clank echoed through the corridor. Her pulse quickened. Stay together, she commanded. It could be automated systems. Her words rang hollow, even to herself. They continued until they reached a vast chamber. At its center stood a glowing sphere, radiating a soft blue light, the energy source of legend. But around it moved shadows, indistinct forms that were neither human nor machine. That's no automation, Kirill whispered, stepping back. Before Irina could respond, a shadow darted toward them, impossibly fast. She drew her plasma pistol, but the shadow vanished, leaving only a chill in the air. Sonia gasped as her scanner blinked, registering an energy spike. There, guarding the sphere, Irina said, forcing calm into her voice. But we need that energy. Without it, we're not getting out of here. What if we make them angry? Sonia asked, her voice shaking. We're already here, Irina replied. There's no turning back. They approached the sphere cautiously. Kirill began connecting a portable accumulator to siphon the energy, but the shadows grew more restless. Their movements became clearer, revealing beings of light and shadow, as if woven from the nebula itself. Their eyes, if they could be called that, burned with cold fire. They don't want to kill us, Sonia said suddenly, studying her scanner. They're watching, like they're testing us. Testing, Irina echoed. For what? No answer came. The sphere flared brighter, and the shadows encircled them. Irina braced for a fight, but instead, a strange warmth flooded her mind. Visions of her past, her childhood on Earth, her first flight, the loss of comrades flashed before her eyes. She saw Kirill and Sonia freeze, their faces mirroring her emotions. When the visions faded, the shadows retreated. The sphere glowed steadily, its energy now accessible. Kirill, snapping out of his daze, completed the connection. The accumulator hummed as it filled with power. Asterisk, what was that? He asked, breathless. Asterisk, I don't know, Irina said, but it feels like we passed their test. Asterisk, they hurried back to the airlock, not daring to look back. The shadows didn't follow, but the sense of being watched lingered. Back on the Spark, the crew greeted them with relief. They had the energy, and their journey could continue. Asterisk, but Irina couldn't shake the feeling that the Ark had left something within her, something that would change her forever. Aboard the Spark, Irina felt the ship come alive. The engines roared with newfound vigor, and the systems, once flashing warnings, stabilized. The energy from the Ark was beyond anything they'd imagined. Leela, at the helm, guided the ship out of the Swan Nebula, and the stars shone clear again, a beacon of hope. Yet unease gnawed at Irina. The visions she'd experienced in the Sphere's chamber haunted her too vivid, too intimate. Something told her the shadows hadn't simply let them go. Asterisk, Captain Mache, the communications specialist, called, her voice trembling with excitement. I've picked up a signal. It's from the Ark. Doesn't look like a standard transmission. Asterisk. Irina approached the comms panel. The screen displayed a chaotic array of symbols, but words in an Earth language emerged. You took the gift. Now you are bound. A chill ran down her spine. Asterisk, what does that mean? Grigory, the technician, asked, peering over her shoulder. Asterisk, I don't know, Irina replied, her voice tight. Leela, keep us on course for the nearest inhabited system. We need to deliver this energy and figure out what we've brought with us. Asterisk. The following days passed in heavy silence. The crew avoided mentioning the Ark, but everyone felt changes. Kirill grew more withdrawn, muttering about strange dreams. Sonia noticed her medical scanners detecting unusual spikes in the crew's brain activity. Even Leela, ever unflappable, admitted to seeing patterns in the stars she'd never noticed before. Asterisk. As the Spark approached the new Terra system, a patrol fleet intercepted them. Irina expected a routine check, but instead, their ship was surrounded and ordered to land immediately. On the orbital station, they were met by an officer in a crisp uniform. Introducing himself as Commander Rain, Asterisk, Captain Vetrawa, he began, his voice cold as the void. You were at the Ark. What did you take from there? Asterisk. Irina frowned. How did he know? She recounted the mission, omitting the shadows and visions. Rain listened intently, but his eyes betrayed alarm. Asterisk. The energy you took, he said, is not just fuel. It's something more. We detected anomalies in your ship before you even arrived. You have changed. Asterisk. Changed. Irina repeated. What do you mean? Asterisk. Rain showed them scanner data. The energy they'd taken was interacting with their bodies, altering their DNA. It wasn't dangerous, but its long-term effects were unknown. Irina recalled the transmission's words. You are bound. Bound to what? The shadows. The station. Asterisk. Rain proposed quarantining the Spark, but Irina refused. Her crew deserved to go home, and she wouldn't surrender their ship. Reluctantly, she agreed to full scans on the station. She noticed Kirill becoming even more reclusive, whispering about voices calling him back to the Ark. Asterisk. On the station, the crew underwent a battery of tests. Sonia, assisting the medical team, discovered that the DNA changes were linked to an unknown energy type that defied analysis. Digging into her notes, she found something she'd missed. The sphere hadn't just transferred energy, it had recorded their memories, their essence. Asterisk. This isn't just technology, Sonia told Irina during a break. It's alive. The Ark is like a consciousness. Asterisk. Irina didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was undeniable. That night, as the station fell silent, she had another vision. The shadows surrounded her, but this time they spoke. Their voices, like the whisper of stars, told of an ancient civilization that built the Ark to preserve their knowledge. The energy was more than a resource, it was their consciousness, their way of living forever. By taking it, the Spark's crew had become its bearers. Asterisk. Waking in a cold sweat, Irina knew they had to return to the Ark, not for more energy, but to understand what they'd awakened. She gathered the crew and shared her decision. Leela objected, calling it suicide, but Kirill, surprisingly, supported her. Asterisk. I feel them, he said. They're not enemies. They want us to understand. Asterisk. Back on the Spark, they found the ship had autonomously charted a course back to the Swan Nebula. It unnerved everyone but Irina, who felt it was their destiny. As they re-entered the nebula, the Ark awaited. This time, the shadows didn't hide. They appeared instantly, surrounding the crew in the Sphere's chamber. Asterisk. You have returned, a voice said, belonging to no one present. You accepted the gift. Now, you are part of us. Asterisk. Irina stepped forward, her heart steady. She asked what they wanted. The shadows explained. Their civilization vanished millions of years ago, but the Ark preserved their knowledge, their souls. They sought those worthy to carry their legacy. The Spark's crew was chosen because they survived where others perished. Asterisk. What if we refuse? Irina asked. Asterisk. Then you will die. The voice replied. Not by our hand, but the universe does not forgive those who reject its gifts. Asterisk, the crew faced a choice: embrace the ancient legacy or fight for freedom, risking everything. Irina looked at her team. Leela clenched her fists, ready to fight. Kirill seemed calm, as if he'd already decided. Sonia, Masha, and Grigory awaited her lead. Asterisk, we won't surrender, Irina said, but we won't be your puppets. If we carry your gift, it's on our terms. Asterisk, the shadows fell silent. Then the sphere blazed brighter. Energy surged into their bodies, not overpowering but amplifying. Irina felt her mind expand, seeing stars and galaxies she'd never known. The crew had changed but remained themselves. Asterisk, as they left the ark, the nebula parted, revealing new horizons. The sparks soared forward, carrying not just energy but the legacy of the ancients. Irina knew their journey had only begun, and the stars awaited.